have you in our team for the Wellness Universe. So today I'll be doing some questions for you and also our audience. They can always ask anything they wanted to know more about your work. I know you're a life mastery coach,
Right.
and can you introduce yourself for our audience? Explain a little bit of your work.
Okay. Well, again, my name is David McLeod. I am a certified master life coach. I do all kinds of work supporting people to have, basically to have better lives. I help them to uncover all the things that may not be, that may be unconscious and that may not be working for them, even though they may have thought it worked for them years ago. And I help them to find new ways of using that information and bringing their true gifts out into the world. And I think the biggest thing that I like to help people do is to learn, well, to remember the truth of who they really are, so that they can bring that authentic being into the world and, just start living a better life. That's really what I do.
That's amazing. So through your journey, what do you think like it's the main challenge that you see that people are facing nowadays? I mean, with this era of AI, the information is all about us. Like we have it right away in our phone. So many information as you never had before. So what do you think like is the main challenge for them to get to know more about them, to connect with the essence?
So that's interesting, a really interesting question. I think that the biggest challenge for anybody, even without all the AI and everything else that's going on, is staying connected to the truth of who we really are. Most of us live in places and in circumstances where we are encouraged to behave according to certain norms, according to certain standards, to live up to someone else's expectations of how we're supposed to be, that sort of thing. And so we end up putting on all these masks and costumes and showing up in a way that we believe other people will approve of. In other words, we're on a constant journey to find more approval. And we're looking for that approval outside of ourselves, which obviously, I mean, on some level it does work. On some level it does feel good to get that approval. But ultimately, the only genuine approval that matters is my approval of myself, is your approval of yourself. And you can't really approve of yourself unless and until you are willing to dig deep, find out the truth of who you really are, and begin to embrace every aspect of yourself, even those parts that you may have previously thought were maybe not so good, maybe were inappropriate, maybe things that you didn't want people to see. You have to learn to love those parts of yourself, because it's through that power of love that you're going to create the healing that helps you to show up more realistically in the world. Now, I find it interesting that you mentioned AI. Well, when you think about it for a moment, what have we been doing all our lives except pretending to be something else? We have been artificial in many ways. Now, I'm not saying it was artificial intelligence, but it was certainly not the real person that we were presenting to the world. So artificial intelligence, now we're going to rely on this extraordinary, sometimes very powerful tool to speak on our behalf, to make us seem smarter than we really are, perhaps, or something like that, And I think artificial intelligence is a powerful tool, but just like any other powerful tool, it can be misused. So, I've already seen some of this in my own life. I've been relying on AI to help me write things so that I can get to the people the way I want to get to them, to help me sort out my own thoughts. And it's very, very useful for that. But if I rely on the artificial intelligence to share my message, then it's no longer me speaking. And that's the thing that we have to be really careful about. So my whole objective in life is to help people be more authentic. Go ahead, use your artificial intelligence or whatever other tools you want to help you get down to that truth, but then present that to the world. That's what I think.
Amazing. I think like our superpower is being yourself, right? To embrace our uniqueness, like being authentic. This is
Right.
our superpower.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find the word superpower a little bit, I mean, I know it's meant to be a playful thing and it's meant to be fun and stuff, but the problem is I think we have to have a superpower, but we don't. We just have to be real,
Yeah.
And one of
Mhm.
the things that I tell people is I said, it's great to be nice, but it's way better to be real.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean by
Love that.
being real, you have to be unnice, but I think it's preferable to bring your whole, real, authentic, genuine self forward, even if sometimes you have to say something that other people might not like to hear. That's what I believe.
I hear you. Yeah, yeah. You're saying like you don't have to pretend to be someone something else or to do something just to make have the approval of
That's
somebody else.
right. Exactly right. I think that is the a recipe for ultimate dissatisfaction and misery in life.
Yeah.
So, if you want to be happy, start being real. Start being who you really are.
And how do you think people can do that? Because once again, I know that everything you're saying, like artificial nowadays, all this harmonization, facial, like this
Right.
Botox and fillers, people are trying to look for field, a pattern that we've been looking for so long. And
Right.
nowadays, like, no, that's not something I want anymore. I want to embrace who I am and all the things that show with that, like all my genetics, my ancestrality, where I come from, and how I look like. How
Exactly.
can you just like embrace that and be yourself in these automatic circumstances that we live as well?
Well, I'll tell you, it certainly takes courage.
Mhm.
Because after all, if you decide that you want to, I mean, personally, I'm totally in favor of that. I mean, I think that a certain amount of makeup is fine for women and maybe even
Mhm.
for some men too. But I think that you don't want to present a false image of yourself. If what you're doing is accentuating your amazing features already, that's one thing. But to try and convert them into something else because one person happens to say, oh, your nose is too big. Oh, or your lips aren't thick enough. Or come on. That's ridiculousness. My lips are just fine. Thank you very much. They work for me. And if you don't like them, go someplace else. This is the thing that we have to learn to be able to do. I am here in my whole genuine self. And you can like me or not like me. That is your choice. I'm not gonna try and bend myself and twist myself and pretty myself up just so that you are happy. If you want to be happy, you have to do that work. You have to find your own truth inside. That's where you're going to find your happiness. Not out there with the fancy makeup and the hairstyles and all the rest of that other stuff that you were talking about, right? So
Yeah, because
that's
you don't have consistency through that, right? Something that can have expire right
right.
away. Like whereas, and you go to this genuine happiness that comes from the inside, it's something that can last longer.
You know, just think about it for a minute. Now, we happen to be talking about makeup. I don't know how we got there. That's not something I normally talk about, but that's what we happen to be talking about now. I have seen many, many women who wear makeup just the right amount to accentuate things. They're already beautiful women and they know they're beautiful women and they just accentuate those aspects of themselves. But I can tell a beautiful woman with or without the makeup because it has to do with the energy that's coming out from the inside. That's where the real beauty is. And the same is true for men. You know, you don't have to be a macho man to be a real man. You can still be a gentle man and be a real man. There's all kinds of things that we can do. We can change this whole world if we want to, but it's going to take some time.
And
And each of us, I can't change you and you can't change me, but I can change myself. And that's really that's the only power I have. But if I do it and people like what they see after I have done that, they might then ask me, I want what you've got. How did you get there? That's how it works. So then people start asking me, well, how did you do it? And then I tell them how I did it. And if they say, well, can you teach me? I say, sure. Let's do some coaching sessions. You know, that's really how it works for me.
I love that. Yeah, and we come up with that because you're talking about the lack of self-esteem and maybe how people were like exaggerating to try to stand out with their beauty instead of looking from what they have inside. So I think it's like the one way, right? It's not that like everything, but it's one way for us to try to address the issue when you're having sessions with people.
Right. And most of the time, honestly, most of the time when I do coaching sessions, we're hardly ever talking about that exterior stuff anyway. We might begin there.
Hmm.
We might begin with, I might start and I might ask somebody, so what do you want to have happen today? And that person might say, well, I just want people to like me. I say, okay, great. And if people liked you, what would you have then that you really want? Because that's not what they want. They don't really care if people like them or not. It's just, if I ask the questions and we take it a little deeper and deeper and deeper, people eventually say, well, I guess I really want to love myself. Great. Now that's something I can work with. I can help you with that. Because I'll tell you something. The moment you start loving yourself, that's when other people start really loving you.
That's amazing.
Because everybody can see through all your facades and your masks and your costumes anyway. You know, they might go along with the pretense for a while and say, oh, you look so beautiful in that, and play the game with you and everything. But really, they may not be all that happy with you because they see the true misery and heartbreak that's inside. They want you to get healed on that. Most people, that's what they want. So I don't know, that's just my philosophy. And so that's why I try to teach people to remember. And I say remember because most of this effort to hide ourselves and to pretend that we're something that we're not, most of that is, it's just going to get lost in the shuffle. And most of that also helps to cause people to forget the truth of who they really are. And when people come back to that and remember it, it's like a miracle right in front of your eyes. You know, that's why I love doing this.
It's amazing. Yesterday, I was watching a live with a psychologist from Brazil, and he was explaining that there is studies they are doing right now about frequencies, the highest frequency, and love is one of the highest, right? That you're
Sure.
seeing, and they have
Yep.
studies.
Yep.
But they were seeing that there is a frequency that it's even higher than love, which is authenticity.
Okay.
And I think it makes sense in exactly what you're telling right now, because it takes love. Like, you have to love yourself to express your authenticity.
That's right.
To show who you are instead of looking for approval.
Right. Exactly right. And that's well, I think that's what I do, and I do believe that's what the Wellness Universe does too. We're trying to help people reconnect to the truth of who they really are so that they can show up authentically and be real human beings in a real world, rather than all this pretend stuff that we're creating everywhere. You know?
Amazing. And how can you explain us how it works, like how people can reach you through the Wellness Universe? How is this process until they have, like, for instance, I want a session with David. How can I do that?
Well, I have sessions available on my website, but people can reach me through my profile link on the Wellness Universe. And I'm not sure how to post that link into this text here, but it's pretty easy. You can just go to the Wellness Universe and just do a search under the what do they call it? The World Changers. Under the World Changers section, do a search for David McLeod, and you'll find me. And by the way, that's the Scottish spelling. You know, that's big M, little C, big L, little E, little O, little D. Scottish spelling, just like the Highlander.
I love that. Yeah. And we are now about to launch the new book.
Right.
The Guide to Complete Self-Care, and you with us again, like being an author. Can you give some tips, like some spoiler for what coming next, what you're going to talk about in the book?
So, first of all, I wanted to point out that I have been an author in all 4 of the previous books from the Wellness Universe. In fact, I got so excited about doing this, I actually decided to be lead author for my own book, which I just recently published. It's called Gifts of Wisdom, Practices for Healing and Empowerment. And then when a whole bunch of things all kind of happened at the same time, Anna announced the book 5, and I said, yeah, I want to get in on it.
Hi, Anna.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I see she's on
there.
there.
She joined us.
She invited everybody into the thing, and I said, yeah, I'm going to do that. And 25 tools for life. I thought, now that's a great topic. I mean, what would I write about in that particular topic? And so I took what we've been talking about already, this idea of true identity, true joy. That's the title of my chapter. And it really is all about, you know, reconnecting to the truth of who you really are on a very deep level, remembering that truth and expressing it in everything that you do. And believe me, that's where true joy comes from. That is the essence of true joy right there. So people can read my chapter, read some of my story, and a bit of a spoiler alert, there's some language in this one. I kind of got a little bit intense with some of the language, but because I think it was important to be able to express what was really going on for me back in the day, and how I managed to get past all that. And well, let's face it, we're all human beings. We're never going to get past all of our wounds. We may have to deal with them over and over again. But so anyway, that's what the book is about. And I offer a tool that is a combination of meditation and journaling that I call the the Lotus Unfurled meditation. It's a powerful, powerful process.
Amazing. And since you participated for the other four books, I know they does not have exactly a sequence because people can use in different
Right.
moments of their life. But since you're a part of all of them, and we are so glad that you are with us in all of this journey so far, do you have like something on your storytelling that you like want to like, oh, you should start with this and then you can go here and then like, because life can be like different ways, all right? It's like a linear
That's
line,
right.
but maybe for them to start it, how would you have like a tip or something that you advise?
You mean in terms of reading these books? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah,
Well,
about your chapter specifically, the chapters you
right.
have written so far.
Well, one of the things that I've learned in this process of participating in expert collaborations with, with Laura DeFranco, with Anna, and with other people, is that these books are so amazing because it doesn't really matter the order that you read them. The other thing that I've learned as a contributing author is that my story has, I've pulled different aspects of my life in various different chapters, and each one has its own purpose. So, we have the 25 tools for happiness, 25 tools for stress relief, 25 tools for, what was it, doing anything or something like, or achieving anything, I think it was called, and 25 tools for goddesses. Now, don't ask me how I ended up in that one. All right. When Anna announced it, I said, "You got to be kidding me!" But she said, "No, we want you to write it in this book." I said, "Oh, great!" So I had to write something from the perspective of divinity rather than from goddess energy. But anyway, people can read them in any order, and there might be a little bit of overlap between the stories, but mostly each one is its own separate piece, and each tool that I offer is unique to its own book.
Yeah, I was saying the last live session that we have here that I like to use the books as an oracle for me.
Right.
Like, let's see what the universe has to talk with me. Like, because you can
Exactly.
interact with the universe so many ways. And I think the book is so powerful, so precious that always give us something that, oh, I need to read this today. It was something that my soul will observe better.
Right. And when you mention oracle cards, I think that's a great metaphor because actually, if you have all of these books on your shelf, you could, on any given day, no matter how you're feeling, just reach for one. Don't even care which one it is. Pick it up and don't even look at the cover. Just open it and see what's there. I mean, I guarantee you're going to get something of amazing value. And if you just take the time to read the chapter and the story of whoever the author might be, and then follow through on the practice or the tool that's been offered there, that can change your life.
Also, for instance, even though, like, let's focus on your chapters. I read today, but I am in a moment of my life, specifically after being through some hard moment, for instance. And when I read in another moment that I'm so happy, full of joy, I would observe the words differently from different perspectives.
Yes,
That makes sense?
absolutely correct. I agree with that 100%. I've had that happen even when I read my own writing. I go back and I see something there and I say, wow, I don't remember writing it that way. That's interesting. And I get something out of it that I might not have got if I hadn't taken the time to read my own words. And I certainly have that same experience when I'm reading the words of other people, especially for the second or third or fourth time.
Yeah, and that brings us back to the beginning of this conversation when you're saying about remember us, who we really are, and our essence. And I think like anything that happens in our journey somehow is trying to get us back on the track to acknowledge again who we really are deep inside.
I think that's very true. I think, you know, the universe, I've heard many people say that the universe provides us with little reminders here and there about where we're supposed to be going and what we're supposed to be doing. And I've heard people also say, when I hear it the third time, then I know it's something I really have to do. But some of us haven't reached that level of awareness where we're even closely paying attention to the universe. So what happens is the universe sometimes has to increase the intensity of the message, you know? So what you see is, yeah, you get a nice little invitation over here, and then over here, hey, you didn't pay attention to that, so I'm going to just kind of nudge you a little bit. And then maybe later on, you have something a little more extreme happening. Maybe you'll go through a car accident or something. And you walk away from that and you say, well, I guess the universe is trying to tell me something. Maybe it's time to start paying attention. So that's, yeah, I think that's exactly right. And the universe is going to keep helping you to remember the truth of who you are, no matter what you do, you know? So that's what I believe.
Like when you have, like for instance, we have a session with you, like I'm going to start my journey, or I want to have a session with David to acknowledge about like the master life coach. How long is this process for you to
Well,
have like?
yeah, I have a whole bunch of different programs, if you like, that people can do. And they range from one session to multiple sessions. It really kind of depends what you're looking for. You know, maybe all you need is a little tune-up. You know, maybe all you want is just a little bit of a motivational support or something like that. Or maybe you're really struggling with some deep issue. Now, it's like therapy, I think, in some ways, because sometimes, you know what, like, I don't know, maybe you do know what therapy's like, maybe you don't, I don't know. I know when I've had therapy, I have gone for years working on the same issue. And should it take that long? Well, there's no shoulds in this process. Each person is going to be different, right? You will have your own issues, whatever they might be, and they might be really difficult for you to deal with. There might be a wound that's deep down in your guts that you just don't quite know how to get it out of there and how to heal it. You know, it's stuck. So we really just have to take it one step at a time and find out, how far do you want to go with this? How much healing are you really looking for? You know, and so you might say, for example, well, I think that's enough for today, and maybe it's enough for 2 weeks, or maybe it's enough for a month or a year. Okay, great, no problem. I'll be here if you want to do more work. And maybe later something else will come up and you'll say, you know, I think I really have to take another look at that. Let's just dive in and see what happens. Because you see, you have to have your own level of willingness and courage to dive in. I'm not going to force anybody to do anything at any time. This can be painful work for some people.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't want none of my work ever re-traumatizes someone. But what it does do is it gives you an opportunity to maybe look at what happened from a more distant observer perspective and see how you can heal yourself. Because the healing can only come from you. I can't heal you. That is not what I do. In fact, I don't think there's any such thing as a healer. The best thing I can do is help you find the mechanisms and the wherewithal to heal yourself. That I can do. So
Yeah, that's really important because we believe in this narrative that was like somehow make us to find someone to delegate that to someone. You heal me, you make the work for me. No, that's your
right.
job, right?
Well, I
And
mean, think about it. Even like a full body massage.
mm-hmm.
You know, full body massage isn't going to do me any good at all unless I go in there with the full intention to let that pressure and the movement really shift stuff around in my body, right? If I'm resisting the whole time, it's a useless waste of money. That's what it is. So I have to have the intention for myself to say, okay, today I want to get a really nice deep tissue massage, and I really want to work on this thing in my back.
Mm-hmm.
My commitment, my intention for this is to come out of there feeling so loose that I practically roll out of the massage parlor.
Like allow yourself to receive that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
How
beautiful.
often do we do that?
Yeah, you're right. And I think this is so kind from you when you say that because it's like you're respecting people. Like when they're ready. Because I feel like, again, as a metaphor, it's like an onion with the layers. And whenever you're ready for it going deeper,
That's right.
you just go with the flow. And there have to be something, because it can be deep, but it doesn't have to be hard, right?
Right.
It can be deep, profound, but at the same time, easily and genuine and kindly.
That's right. I think it's kind of like, you know, if you want to do weightlifting and you want to get good at doing weightlifting, for example, you don't start off lifting 1,000 pounds. You know, you might never lift 1,000 pounds. There's very few people on the planet who can do that. But if you really, really, really want to lift 1,000 pounds, you better start with 10 pounds.
Yes.
You know, it's like Lao Tzu said that the journey of 1,000 miles always starts with a single step.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. David, I would be here forever talking to you. You're such an amazing person.
Thank
We've
you.
been participating of another lives with our group, the Wellness Universe. So I feel like it is a gift, it's a present to have you with us in the Wellness Universe and this book, and also for people that will, through this life, acknowledge more about your work. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you if you have like any kind of tip that you would share with us for starting for this journey to starting to love ourselves more. How can we do that?
I have a very, very simple practice that I love to do. I didn't always love doing this, by the way. When I first started doing it, I felt stupid. I felt ridiculous. I felt silly. But believe it or not, if you can find the courage to go and stand naked in front of a full length mirror and just look at yourself and say, I love you. Forget about, you know, the crooked hair or the extra weight on the belly or any of the other flaws that you think you see. Just look at this beautiful being and say, I love you. And do it, you know, for 10 or 15 minutes. When I first started doing this, at first, like I said, I thought it was silly. I thought it was stupid. And I felt ridiculous. But I'm telling you, the very first day when I did that, I started getting tears in my eyes. I started
As I had
feeling, yeah, I see that. And that's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful practice that anybody can do. And this doesn't mean that you necessarily have to remember all the details of who you really are. Just look at that beautiful being in that full length mirror in all of its vulnerability and just say, I love you.
oh, wow.
Practice that for a few weeks and just notice the difference. This is a powerful, powerful thing that anybody can do.
Because consistency is important during this process too, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like anything else. If you want to learn to meditate, well, you have to meditate. You know, you have to do it. So, yeah. Claudia, thank you so much. It's been just a pleasure
David,
talking
so
to you
much.
today.
A pleasure. Thank you. And people that want to have the books, we already are selling all the 4 books at Amazon Prime. We have there. And also, we're coming up in January, the new book, The Guide to Complete Self-Care. And David with us again. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you very much.
Everyone. Bye-bye.